He gives you the cash, he so does give you the cash. He will get money from his videos, he will do what he can. My name is StarkyBooty32, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Polar Express. Now, as all of you know, it is almost Christmas, and I thought that since it is nearing that time of year, I thought I would make a video talking about a Christmas movie. I have made some retrospective look-back videos on some things I used to love on this channel, but now that it's nearly Christmas, now is the time to make a video about this thing which I used to love, and let's get right into it. So, for those who don't know, The Polar Express is a Christmas movie that was based off a children's picture book under the same name. It was released on the 10th of November 2004 and features the story of a kid who is having disbelief in Santa and Christmas, but then catches a train which brings him to the North Pole to fulfill his beliefs again. The book was written by Chris Van Allsburg in 1985, and the movie was directed by Robert Zemeckis, who is also known for directing Back to the Future. The Polar Express is overall my favourite Christmas movie. I really enjoyed watching it when I was a little kid and still enjoy it to this day. Seeing as it's nearly Christmas, I decided to make a video about this movie where I have a look back on it, as I have been thinking about it quite a lot with it being nearly Christmas and it being a Christmas movie. I have rewatched the movie once a few days ago, and I am planning on rewatching it a few more times before Christmas Day as a means to celebrate the holidays. First, I'll be giving you all an entire summary of the plot of the movie, and just a warning, there will be spoilers in this next part of the video, so if you're watching this and haven't seen The Polar Express, I suggest you click off this video and go watch it for yourself, or skip over this part, but otherwise, here is the entire plot of the movie. So The Polar Express begins that night on Christmas Eve with a boy who is resting in his bed. The main boy in The Polar Express doesn't actually have a name, and he is only referred to as Hero Boy in the credits. There are some other characters in the movie whose names aren't revealed as well, and before I continue on with summarising the plot, I'll give all the unnamed characters' names. I'm gonna call the hero boy John, the hero girl Rebecca, and the know-it-all kid Simon. John hears some bells ringing as he's resting in bed and decides to go downstairs and investigate what's going on. He sees a shadow and thinks it's Santa, but it's only his dad bringing his sister downstairs to get her some water. We then find out that John has disbelief in Santa, as he has a lot of articles and stuff relating to how Santa isn't real, and his sister says to his parents how he told her that Santa isn't real. John then goes to sleep and wakes up a while later to the sound of a train from outside his house. He rushes outside his house and sees a huge steam train standing in front of his house, and he approaches the conductor of the train, who says that he is having some disbelief in Santa. The conductor offers John to get aboard the train, but John is hesitant at first, then finally decides to get on board. There are several kids aboard the train who are all excited about going to the North Pole. We then meet Simon, the know-it-all kid, and Rebecca, the hero girl. The conductor then arrives with the hole puncher and is there to punch the kids' tickets that magically appeared in their pockets. He punches 2 letters into each of the kids' tickets, which are very vague and don't have a full meaning yet, and then they arrive at 11344 Edgebrook Avenue. A boy named Billy lives at this address, and the conductor offers for him to board the train, but just like John, he is hesitant at first, but then decides he wants to get on the train. However, Billy can't catch up to the train, and this causes John to pull an emergency brake to stop it and allows Billy to board. And when Billy boards, he boards the observation carriage away from all the other kids. The conductor then confronts John over this, but then he is quickly forgiven when he realises that John stopped the train to get Billy to board. The conductor conductor then gives the kids some hot chocolate by bringing in waiters who serve it to them and perform a musical number. After having hot chocolate, Rebecca decides to take some to Billy with the aid of the conductor, but then John notices that she left her ticket behind and that it was unpunched. John then tries to get Rebecca's ticket back to her, but he loses it and it blows away outside the train. The ticket then comes flying back to the train, caused by some wolves and an eagle, and the conductor notices Rebecca doesn't have it, so he takes her to quote-unquote throw her off the train. John, however, quickly finds Rebecca's ticket and goes to the observation carriage, but doesn't see her or the conductor. He then notices the conductor and Rebecca on the roof, and then gets onto the roof, but he's unable to catch up to them. He comes across a hobo on the roof of the train, however, who John hopes can help him find Rebecca, and the hobo tells John to hide the ticket in his shoes, offers him some coffee, and most importantly questions his beliefs about Santa and about whether or not John is dreaming. The hobo then agrees to help John find Rebecca, but the train is headed towards Flat Top Tunnel, which has 1 inch of clearance between it and the train, so he decides to ski with John down the carriages of the train before it reaches Flat Top Tunnel and gets him to the locomotive. It's also seen here that the hobo is a ghost, as he dissipates into dust before the train reaches Flat Top Tunnel. When John reaches the engine room of the train's locomotive, he notices that Rebecca hadn't been thrown off the train, but was put in charge while the engineers, Smokey and Steamer, go to fix the light at the front of the train. When Steamer fixes the light, he notices some white dots in the distance and commands John and Rebecca to stop the train. John manages to stop the train as it slows to a halt in front of a herd of caribou. The conductor confronts John again, but notices the problem and tries to ponder a solution to get the caribou off the tracks. The conductor then conveniently pulls Smokey's beard, which causes him to make animal-like sounds, which then make the caribou clear the tracks. The train gets moving again, but Steamer then fiddles with the throttle, causing the train to accelerate and the cotter pin in the throttle to come loose. The train then approaches Glacier Gulch, which the conductor says is the steepest downhill grade in the world, and tells John and Rebecca to hold on as the train speeds through some tracks that look like a roller coaster. As the train goes through Glacier Gulch, Steamer catches the cotter pin from the throttle in his mouth and accidentally swallows it whole. The train then reaches a frozen lake, which is frozen over the tracks, and Smokey whacks Steamer with the shovel, causing the cotter pin to shoot out of his mouth and land on the ice, cracking it. Smokey then uses a spare pin in his hair to put in the throttle and pulls the throttle, which causes the train to slow to a stop on the ice. The conductor then tries to confront Smokey and Steamer over this fiasco, but then notices the ice cracking in the distance and tells Smokey and Steamer to get them to the other side of the lake. The conductor works with Smokey and Steamer to get the train back on track as the ice cracks behind the train. Rebecca's ticket then slips out of John's shoe, and they then catch it as the train reaches the tracks on the other side of the lake, and the conductor then punches Rebecca's ticket. The conductor brings John and Rebecca inside the train through an abandoned toy carriage, where John is scared briefly by the hobo toying with the Scrooge puppet. John then goes to the observation carriage, and Billy and Rebecca sing the song Where Christmas Comes to Town there. They then notice the northern lights appear after that, and the conductor shows them the North Pole nearby. The train then arrives at the North Pole 5 minutes before midnight, and the kids then come out of the train and line up against each other, except for John and Rebecca, who go to the observation carriage to encourage Billy to come out with them, but John accidentally uncouples the observation carriage from the rest of the train, causing them to go on a roller coaster ride in it down into a tunnel. When John, Rebecca and Billy end up in the channel, Rebecca hears some bells and decides to follow them to find a way out, but John can't hear the bells. They go through an elf command centre, a present wrapping room and a conveyor belt area where one present goes through, which turns out to be Billy's present. John, Rebecca and Billy then go down a slide and end up on a pile of presents below, which is then engulfed in a huge sack and lifted into the air by a blimp. The sack is brought towards the centre of the North Pole, back where the rest of the kids and the conductor are, and during this time we see that Simon snuck his way into the sack as well. Before making it to the square, the sack accidentally knocks the giant star off the giant Christmas tree before it is lifted up and put back on, and the sack is dropped onto Santa's sleigh. Some elves then escort John, Rebecca, Billy and Simon out of the sack, and then all the elves get ready for Santa to show up. John still can't hear the bells until one of them flies off the reindeer's harness and lands near John. John picks up the bell but can't hear it until he believes in Santa, which is when he can hear it. Santa then approaches John and then decides that he should be the one to receive the first gift of Christmas. Santa takes John to his sleigh, and John decides that he wants the bell that he found which flew off, and Santa gives John the bell as his Christmas gift. It then becomes midnight and Santa then begins to fly on his sleigh around the North Pole before disappearing in the sky, and the elves celebrate his departure. The kids then return to the train and the conductor then punches the rest of the letters on the kids' tickets to spell out a word that means something to them. Once on the train, John realises that he had lost the bell that Santa gave him, and he returns home feeling distraught. Billy is dropped off back at his house on the return trip, and Santa had dropped his present off at his house already, and then when John is dropped off back at his house, he then says farewell to Rebecca, Simon, the conductor and the hobo as the train departs. He notices that Santa hadn't come to his house yet and heads up to bed. John then wakes up on Christmas and then goes downstairs to find the bell that Santa gave him as his present. As John and his sister believe in Santa, they can hear the bell ring, but their parents can't hear the bell as they don't believe in Santa. John then says in narration that everyone around him stopped hearing the bell except for him when they grew older, and the movie closes off and ends there. That was a summary of the entire plot of the movie, and now I'm sure that heavily padded the runtime of this video, but now with that out of the way, I will be talking about some things about the movie that are quite interesting. One thing that is quite known about the Polar Express is that Tom Hanks plays 6 characters in it. He plays, in order of appearance, John's older narration voice, John's father, the conductor, the hobo, the Scrooge puppet and Santa. Tom Hanks literally stole the spotlight and played 6 characters in the movie, and because of this there has been a meme made out of this movie where some people have said that the Polar Express was that movie where Tom Hanks was everyone. Tom Hanks also played John and provided the motion capture for him, while Daryl Sabara was the voice for John. The Polar Express's design was based off a train called the Père de Marquette, which is a steam train that was built in 1941 in Ohio by the Lima Motor Works for the sake of transporting goods, and it is still running to this day. The Polar Express looks just like the Père de Marquette and even has the same numbers on it as the Père de Marquette does, 1225, and when the author of the book, Chris Van Allsburg, was a kid, he would even play on the Père de Marquette every time he went to a baseball game, so you can possibly clearly see how this train influenced the creation of the Polar Express, and without it there simply would be no Polar Express. As I had mentioned motion capture, this movie was made using motion capture where actors had sensors all over their bodies which would be later captured into a computer program and then animated into the characters. The Polar Express was also the first movie to use motion capture and is listed in the 2006 Guinness Book of World Records as the world's first movie to use motion capture, and many people complain about this, but some people think the motion capture looks creepy and weird and falls into uncanny valley territory. Although I never thought it was creepy at all, I thought it was okay, and I thought the animation for the movie was pretty decent for 2004. I even used to think the Polar Express was a live action movie, as the characters in it look like real people. That's just how fantastic the movie's animation really looks. The music in the Polar Express was composed by Alan Silvestri, and it's actually really good and sounds very unique and epic for a Christmas movie. Most Christmas movies tend to have Christmas carols playing most of the time and jolly music, but the Polar Express is very different and has epic action music during the action scenes and orchestral and spiritual sounding music during the mysterious scenes. There aren't many other Christmas movies which have music like it, and Alan Silvestri did a fantastic job with the music choices, as he pretty much redefined the Christmas genre's music. This next bit is very sad, but Michael Cheetah, who was the actor that provided the voices of Smokey and Steamer, died halfway during the movie's production from an epileptic seizure. The Polar Express is dedicated to him, as it was the last movie that he ever worked on before his death, and there was also meant to be a scene with Smokey and Steamer singing a song called It Takes Two, which was later cut from the movie as the producers thought the movie flowed better without it and that it slowed down the story. They didn't get rid of the song entirely, however, but a bonus video was added in the BTS, which showed the song as unfinished animation. I have seen this deleted song, and it's on YouTube in a video called Polar Express deleted song It Takes Two, if you want to watch it for yourself. The Polar Express was nominated for several awards, but it won one award at the Grammys for Best Song Written for Motion Picture, which was in regards to the song in the credits called Believe. The award was given to Alan Silvestri and Glenn Ballard, and I just have to say that Alan Silvestri deserved that award because, as I said, the movie's music and songs were so good and just the best in any Christmas movie, and Alan Silvestri is a master composer. But it was also nominated for some other awards but didn't win, including Academy Awards, Golden Globe Awards, and the Visual Effects Society. Now, I don't know what many people my age these days usually do around Christmas time. I suppose everyone else is watching funny Christmas videos on social media and are having late night parties, but not me. I'm watching the Polar Express. I'm binge watching it up until Christmas Day and have formed a tradition from childhood of watching it every December until Christmas. That's just the testament to how good the movie is and how much I still love it even to this day. But to anyone else who's watching this video, what did you all think of the Polar Express? Did you like it or hate it? Let me know down in those comments below. And until next time, my name is StarkyBooty32, and thank you for listening, humanity. My name is StarkyBooty32. I'm one of the best people on YouTube.